Vijay, is it? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Hanumant Rao, the resource person of the day, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, Dean Biosciences, and other department heads, members of faculty, and DMO students. It's indeed a privilege for me to be with you in this afternoon on a digital platform. And bioscience department uh, has been doing a lot of such initiatives, inviting resource people from different parts of the world to enlighten the students on different aspects of their career and their studies, bringing in a lot of new avenues for research as well. So, in this context, I congratulate all the members of faculty in the department for having supported him to make this event happen. Hopefully the students would take it as a wonderful opportunity to look at different dimensions of bioscience from a career perspective or a research perspective, so that in future they'll be able to pursue the future as they aspire for. I hope all the students would make the best benefit out of this and would interact with Dr. Hanumant Rao on the doubts that you have. Hopes that you will have 1 hour ahead, a wonderful learning opportunity. I thank and congratulate the department once again for having invited a resource person like Dr. Hanumant Rao, who has got a lot of exposure on this field. Thank you all so much. Stay well, stay safe.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vijay. Can I share my screen? Uh, is it is it clear? Is my watch? Yeah, I'll just yeah. Thank you. Is my screen visible to everyone? Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I should thank for this wonderful opportunity to be among your midst. I should thank the management of Nehru Arts and Science College and the principal of Nehru Arts and Science College, Dr. Anirudhan, for providing me this platform to address you students, the students of biotechnology and microbiology and other department students. And I should thank my uh, friend, Dr. Vijay Raghavan, for inviting me to give a lecture on algal biotechnology. So, first of all, I see this is, I know that it is a post-lunch session, and maybe a bit of general, and then I will just go into the subject. So here, I'm not going to go deep into the subject, not very much technical aspects, but an overview of this field and what lies ahead for us in this particular field. And as the students of biotechnology and microbiology, and particularly biotechnology students, uh, uh, you would be particularly 1 second. I'll just 1 second. I'll just is my video visible? No. Yeah. Okay. So it's more of general talk and what are the opportunities in this field, and also what are the areas people are working on, and what are the advances that is happening in the last 10 or 15 years, and what is ahead in the next 10 years. Because many of you, as biotechnology students, would be learning about the bioprocess technology and the fermentation, most of it from the bacterial and the fungal fermentations. But very little importance is given to algal biotechnology in most of the syllabi, because I know that it is one of the very recent field, 10 or 15 years old. In the sense, the commercial aspects of this field has started to again shine, okay, particularly in the last 10 or 15 years, and because of a lot of issues we are facing. Okay, so this is just a photographs of our college, and when we take the algal biotechnology, so when you talk about algology, so because we know that when you talk about algologists, people will be thinking about the study some good appearing organisms, very beautiful organisms observing under the microscope. So it was more of a taxonomical work in the last century. But now things have changed. It is not the same, and people have been working on a lot of developing a lot of technology using this algae. Okay, and when you talk about the algal biotechnology, so even in the last century itself, after 1950s, countries like Japan started to do algal farming on a larger scale. Even 1940s and 1950s, no, particularly during the Second World War. Uh, Japanese started working on, because you know that Japan is a country where they have very less resource, and they worked on, because they have an excellent resource from the sea. So they worked on cultivation of seaweeds, marine seaweed farming. So that was a time when this algal biotechnology started to grow. But during the last 70 years, no, until 1990s up to 2000, most of the algal applications were on foods and other things. Okay, and only later people started to use it for the environment purposes and biofuel purposes. So only during the 21st century, the wider aspects of this algal biotechnology and the algal biology, people started to realize, and people started to find a lot of potentials in these tiny organisms. Okay, so it was a less fancied science maybe 50 years back, and now people are relying more on that. And even for certain purposes, even more than the bacterial systems and the yeast systems or other systems. Okay, and say you would have heard about bioeconomy. Bioeconomy is a very recent term where your economy depends on from the biological applications. Okay, and when you talk about bioeconomy, algal-based bioeconomy is a very recent, as I said, very recent one, and the contribution of algal-based bioeconomy to the overall bioeconomy is very meager now as of now, but it is growing. In the last 15 years, it has grown by more than 100%. The share of algal biotechnology in the entire biotechnology field is grown by more than 100%. And you know that these are the various applications. You would have studied all these things. I'm not going to go into detail all because everyone knows about that. I'm not going to talk about spirulina cultivation, nutraceuticals, because it is a very common thing which people are studying. I'm going to just talk about what is the recent thing that is happening in the last 10 years about biofuels and how algae are used for waste management. So that those are the very recent aspects and how it is going to help us in the next 10 or 20 years or even the next 50 years. So that's the aspect I'm going to cover more. And when you take the application aspects, you know that it is very well used in food and nutraceuticals, single cell proteins, lots of high value products. Okay, the value added products are the bioactive molecules which are used in pharmaceuticals like amino acids. So even when you take lots of nutraceutical compounds, there'll be a lot of amino acids, and even when you take a lot of nutraceutical drinks, even you have algal lipids, PUFAs, and other things that are extracted from oil. So it is very common that people are using algae as, not only as a food and the feedstock, but extracting bioactive molecules. So this has started from 1980s and 1990s, and these industries, and nowadays even they grow algae in fermentas, in a classical fermentas. So that's also that. Even in India, we have industries where algae are grown in classical fermentas. So people have done so many things on that. So they try to extract bioactive molecules. They use in various fields, and algal nanotechnology is another field where it is an upcoming field. So, and when you talk about cosmetics, particularly Japanese and other Southeast nations, they are very advanced in using. They are very much advanced. They have a lot of industries where they use algal products in their cosmetics, biocosmetics. And when you talk about the biopolymers or the bioplastics, again, have a lot of scope for biopolymers. You know that because of the restrictions by the government on the use of the regular the recalcitrant polymers. So use of bioplastics and biopolymers like PHAs, PHBs. So it's all very commonly available in seaweeds and many of the microalgae, including cyanobacteria. So these are the very wide applications, and people are trying to integrate all these applications into a single mode, because you try to extract as many molecules as possible from a single organism. So that's the trend now. I'll discuss about that later. Okay, and of course the environmental aspects, phycoremediation and biofuels, which I'm going to deal in bit detail about this. And these are some of the products which I have listed from the literature. Okay, and I've taken it all, whatever I'm presenting here, it is the literature I've collected after 2015, the last 5 years papers, not before that. Okay, so all these are the common compounds that are taken from various algae, including macro and micro. Okay, so most of the macroalgae are marine based, and microalgae it is both marine and freshwater based. So all these molecules are very commonly used. And when you take pigments, beta carotene, astaxanthin, and picosanine are very commonly used, and other pigments are less commonly used because of the less concentration present in the algal cells. Okay, and as you would have already known about the PUFAs, okay, PUFAs, and also you have monosaturated fatty acids. And PUFAs, EPA and DH are very commonly used, and arachidonic acid is not commonly present in many organisms because it is a 20 carbon compound, and DHA and EPA are 22 and 24. They are very commonly found. Arachidonic acid is not commonly found, and only few strains have that. Okay, and these are all some of the compounds that are commonly present in the algal cells. And this is about the market value of some products. So it will be amazing to see the market value touching around 2,000 million US dollars. It's amazing value. And then you can see most of the products are more than $100 million per year. So it is huge. So these are the product names, okay, and the species name are given. So this is why I'm just listing this is the potential we have. So when we study biotechnology, we think that we should work in a fermentation industry. It's not like that. You have lots of opportunities in algal industries, and many companies in India, even in India, you have lots of companies who are working on algal systems. Okay, and again, to continue with this, again, few more algal products, and you have the aquaculture feed is another big area where you have 700 million US dollars, and also fatty acids, again 1,530 million US dollars. So when you talk about these products, when you are talking about high value products, high value products are very costly because of the costly downstream processing involved in that. Because if you are going to use it as an aquaculture feed or a poultry feed, it is rather it can be a very it's unrefined downstream processing, or a very simple downstream processing where the cost can be lesser. So these are some of the things. And again, as I told you, I'll be just concentrating more on these aspects. Okay, and when you take the biofuels, here the algal biofuels, I've given it as hype, reality, and resurgence. Okay, so when you take biofuels, or when you take algal biofuels in particular, it started around 2007 or 2008. I remember 12, 13 years back, this field started emerging. So before that, so it is not that it was not there earlier. Okay, so it was there earlier. People worked on algal biofuels even in the 1970s and 80s, but not much technology, or not much of the technical know-hows on these systems, on working on these systems on a commercial scale, was available at that time. So people found it very difficult, but this was a time when people started to work on this 2007 and 8. So I'll tell you the reason why they started to work on this, and there was a lot of hype. Okay, there was a lot of hype for the next 3 years, 4 years. When you take the top-notch journals, including Nature, Frontiers, everything, all journals started to publish lots of papers on algal biofuels. It was that till 2012 or 13, and suddenly there was a diminishing interest among the the scientists on algal biofuels, because of the reality what we need to face, the ground reality, how much feasible it will be, how much it is economically feasible. So all these problems were there, because you know that in 2013, because see, when you talk about the biofuels, when there is you know about the fluctuation in price of the crude petroleum. Okay, so the crude petroleum keeps on fluctuating. When there is a fluctuating, when there is a sudden rise, and it happened in the 1970s, when there was a crunch for the petroleum, and there was a sudden rise in the petroleum price, people started to work on the renewable energy, and again the prices came down. So people stopped working on that, because you need to have a lot of fundings for doing any research. That's the same case happened in 2013, when US started to do use fracking technology. Okay, so because they extract natural gas and other uh, fuel products. So they used fracking technology. So you know that even we had a problem, in the Kaveri Delta, where for methane. So that's because the problem was the technology which is used. It is a fracking technology. So fracking technology is more dangerous than the artisan technology. Artisan technology is better. Okay, and then government changed its stand to artisan technology, and the central government now they say that